Well, good day. Hi, I'm Doc Martin, the lone journalist for KRAZ-TV. Wow, what a book, huh? It's book review, The Real Valkyrie. That's right, the hidden history of Viking warrior women by Nancy Marie Brown. I was captivated, fascinated, and thrilled at this story. It was unreal. And it's the true grit, baby. This is it. Well, it's about stories that just now are coming true or found out about Viking life and women in general of that period of the Viking times. Nancy Marie Brown is the author of highly praised books of nonfiction, including Song of the Vikings and Ivory Vikings. They have been favorably viewed in the New York Times, the New Yorker, the Economist, the Times Literary Supplement, the Wall Street Journal, and many other publications. Brown has spent decades studying Icelandic literature and culture. She lives on a farm in Vermont where she keeps 4 Icelandic horses and an Icelandic sheepdog. And she went over there. I mean, she did her work and did the history. In 2017, DNA test revealed to the collective shock of many scholars that a Viking warrior in a high-status grave in Birka, Sweden, was actually a woman. The Real Valkyrie weaves together archaeology, history, and literature to imagine her life and times, showing that Viking women had more power and agency than historians have imagined. Brown uses science to link the Birka warrior, whom she names Hervor, to Viking trading towns and to their great trading route east to Byzantine and beyond. She imagines Hervor's adventures intersecting with larger-than-life but real women, including Queen Gunhild, Mother of Kings, the Viking leader, known as the Red Girl, and Queen Olga of Kiev. Hervor's short, dramatic life shows that much of what we have taken as truth about women in the Viking Age is based not on data, but on 19th century Victorian biases. Rather than holding the household keys, Viking women in history, the sagas say, poetry and myth carry weapons. These women brag, as heroes we are widely known, with keen spears we cut blood from the bone. In this compelling narrative, Brown brings the world of these Valkyries and shield maids to vivid life. Boy, I'm telling you what, I never imagined that life was so hard and crazy and savage and stuff. And she goes on to extrapolate and build out some things. The woman was 30 when she was found in a grave, and the grave was found in Birka. It's on the shore of the western side of, or going across from Norway in that fjord there. But on the edge there, it's called Birka. Anyways, they found in 1887 a grave. And when they dug it up, they said, oh, well, look, here's a... Because it was very rare. It's acid soils and very moist and stuff. It was right by the coast, so it's very rare to find a grave, mostly. I mean, you find pieces and they find artifacts and all this, but somehow her grave had been kept fairly well intact, where she had 2 horses buried with her. She had spears, shields, all the warrior accoutrements, including her little silver cone cap, filigreed cap. She was very proud of that. Anyways, they said, "Oh well, look, this is a great warrior. He must have been somebody else." And even in '07, when they looked at it again, somebody said, "Are you sure?" And they said, "Oh no, it's a man." Finally, somebody said, "Well, let's get some DNA," and they DNA'd it, and wow, it's a woman. That just blew everybody out of the water. Because here then it proved that women did take up the shield and sword, and were as famed and sung in the sagas as any Norse. The Norse always, before 1000, had were pagan and had not accepted Christianity to a big degree. So they knew about it. They knew other people in other islands and all had it, but they resisted until resist. But anyways, she was truly not Christianized, and so those people believed in witches, superstitions, animistic beliefs, power of equality, and all of that. The subjugation of women really did not start until after Christianity came in. That's the just truth of the story. Anyways, we found out that her sword was called the Flame Eater. That was the name of it, Thurger or some name like that. I'm butchering Norse, of course. Anyways, it was reputed that her father, now everybody was buried in barrows or mounds, and he was buried on an island, and she went to that island and dug through there, and the other people that were with her, the men, would not go to that island. They were scared that the dead would haunt them or hurt them or something. But she went in and found her father's grave, opened it up, and got the sword out, and as she held it up, she said, "I would rather have this sword than to rule Norway." So the great queens of her, she was descended, or no, she was a slave girl that was picked up in a raid by Grunhild, mother of kings. And she saw how feisty this young girl was. This girl was 6 or 7 when she picked her up, and she had a knife and tried to knife the people. And I said, "Dang, you're pretty feisty. We're going to take you on." And so, of course, she was enlisted as a slave, and that's how they got a lot of people. But she was honored and picked up, and people that were slaves then could earn their freedoms and actually become kings. There were kings that were kidnapped and then became king of Norway. Olaf was a slave prisoner, and he became king of Norway. So it was very possible. So Eric Bloodaxe and Grunhild, mother of kings, she had 9. The reason why she was called mother of kings, I don't know, she had so many children, but she had 9 to survive. So she had more, but of the 9 who survived, 5 became kings of Norway. Isn't that a fantastic situation? Well, you know, at Zero Channel, we have a book, a playlist, and also at KRAZ TV called Our New Chiefs Are Strong Women. Here they are, right here. It is just fascinating. They didn't take any crap from anybody. And Eric the Bloodaxe finally became, Jorvik it was called in those days, but it was York. And he went over, he finally got killed at York many years later. He was only a king for a couple of years, and they did stupid stuff and took whatever they wanted, and finally he was killed. So Gunhild, mother of kings, ruled the roost and did the upbringing. So Hervor, that's her name. That's probably another name. But she was in the sagas, and so she's probably listed as probably that one, a person like that. But she was very well, excuse me, took care of, well fed, and all that, and she rose to notoriety in her day. So then it goes on to how they lived in Orkney. Grunhild went to Orkney and became the queen of Orkney over there. They showed up with their whole retinue. They said, "We're not here to conquer, we're here to help to prosper." But but we're taking over. Then they went to Dublin and Ireland and pillaged and everything over there. And then they went back around. And they found boats that were really people buried in them and stuff. They turned upside down. Or they housed all their goods and then they were covered over. So they found intact boats and stuff. So this woman had a boat that went all the way up through to east. That's called the East Way. Once you get going that way towards the Baltic Sea, through it's Denmark and Jutland and Norway, and then it goes east through the Baltic Sea, and that was called the East Way. Then they went down through Estonia and Novgorod, Russia. These people were called the Rus. And the Rus actually, it sounds like the Russians, and it was the progenitors of those folks, but it meant rower, and they rowed their boats, and they were shallow draft. So they'd go up rivers, and then they'd take the boat out and push it across portages around rapids, and they'd pull themselves up, hire people, and pay tribute and all that, and got one up, and then they went all the way up the river, crossed another port, and down Volga, Dnieper River, and all of that, all the way to the Black Sea. And not related, or it is kind of in the 900s after she passed away. 500 Vikings showed up at the walls of Constantinople. This was before they became Christianized, and they really put the terror into them. So that was when he paid tribute. Constantine the VII, I think it was, paid the tribute and finally baptized him and had him do his bidding or spread the word, But until then, they were all on their own and did their own thing. And she was part of that. She died at about age 30, between 30 and 40, and they couldn't find anything, but it was imagined that she was probably stabbed by a slave or something in the leg and bled to death. And because they didn't find any marks on her as far as bone chops and breaks and stuff like that. I mean, they were bent over and stooped and stuff because they sat and rode for days and stuff. There's a lot of customs and stuff, and men and everybody just respected. If you were tough enough to get along, well, that's you carried your own. They didn't say, "Oh, well, you're a woman, you can't be around us." She kicked their butts, and she did. She took the hard knocks just like anybody and any other warrior. It is a fantastic, fantastic story. It's the author, Nancy Marie Brown, acknowledges in the end all the people that she met when she went over there to Sweden and Iceland and did a lot of this work, and actually studied the sagas and went and visited the places and saw the artifacts, and so she's a strong woman herself, and I'd like to have met her. She would have loved my mother. She was another strong woman. But anyways, I could go on and on about this book, but it's the true grit, baby, the real Valkyrie. Yep, the hidden history of Viking warrior women. You have got to read this book. Not a big read, but absolutely fascinating. I found it, and I hope you do too. Find it at your library. We got ours at the Tucson Public Library or Pima County Public Library. I'm telling you what, here's the story. They weren't the maidens that took Valkyrie were not the maidens that took dead warriors to Valhalla. They sent them to Valhalla. Yeah, Valkyrie means chosen of the slain. And, this was it. Keep reading and watching. I could go on and on about this book, but I really have to do other things today, but I like to keep it down to less than 15 minutes. Thanks, and keep watching KRAZ TV. Watch all of our other book reviews at the Zero Channel and KRAZTV.com.